Hello, my name is Carl Cook, and I'm President and Chief Technical Officer of BioComp Systems. I'd like to give you a quick introduction to Profit 10. Now, what I'm going to try to do is to strike a balance between providing an introduction for new users, as well as focus on some of the features for the existing users that we added into Profit 10, and ones that I think that you will find are quite useful. Now, given a little bit of history about Profit, it was created in 1997, the first version, when people were buying what was called and is still called the Neurogenetic Optimizer, a predictive analytics tool for time series. And we were asking people what they were using the NGO, the Neurogenetic Optimizer, for, and they said for trading the financial markets, and we thought that was interesting. But the NGO was accuracy based, and we know in the financial markets timing is everything, and performance based on equity is more important. So we created Profit, and basically Profit is a signal generator tool. So it was created originally to provide an interface that spoke equity performance to the user and drove the modeling processes based on equity performance, and then create signals that would be imported into TradeStation to put a trading system around and actually execute the trading. And it's still in that position that its intent is to create basically a profitable set of signals that you can then use in other products by exporting those signals out. But you can use them directly within Profit as well. And but Profit doesn't have money management like you might find in TradeStation or Ninja or other Amy Broker and other products like that. So let's get started. When you start up Profit and you activate it, you're presented with a Profit system window. And if you're a new user, you want to import Metastock-based data or data in text files. Now, what I have in here is Metastock formatted data. It's futures data from Pinnacle Data. And I'm using the non-back adjusted data, which has gaps on contract rollovers, but it does not have the history modified when they switch contracts. It provides a consistency in the price series. And so I'm going to walk you through a process where I import data. I decide on how I want to trade, when and how. So by default, it trades long and short on the close of the current day, which means that you would, after the close of the day, you would get your data, you would go to the aftermarket and execute your trade in the aftermarket. If you don't have an aftermarket, then you have a couple of choices, but you would advance this to one bar and then trade either on the open of tomorrow or the close of tomorrow instead. For this purpose, I'll just say I'm going to trade in the aftermarket on the same day. Over here is something called the equity engine, which is something that calculates equity performance of the signals that are created. And the standard equity engine has like 27 different metrics that it calculates, including a little trading report. And is a good one. It's an add-in. You can actually create your own if you like, although it's fairly involved in calculating all the trades and all the metrics and things. So once you define what data you're going to use and how you're going to trade, then you go and you build indicators on the indicator tab, and these are used as inputs to models and also the variable you're going to predict. So Profit, being a predictive analytics tool for the financial markets, is used something called in machine learning called supervised learning. And so what you do is you create input indicators and a target that you're going to try to predict using those input indicators. And what Profit's job is to do is to build models that relate those input indicators into a profitable signal. That's the basic purpose of this product. In the indicators tab, when we have data in it, we can go through and we can add different functions and create different indicators, including RSIs and WinZs and windowed slopes and those kinds of things. After you created indicators, then you go to the model building process, which is where the input indicators are fused together to try to predict the signal that you are asking it to predict. And there's a lot of different controls here in terms of what kind of models to build and their complexity and deep learning and those kinds of things. Once you've built models, then you end up with a list of models over here, which the Profit will create more than one model. In fact, it will create by default 10 alternative best models that it could find, which are then put together using a model merging add-in, which for most purposes can be just taking a simple average of the signals. So it creates multiple models that have maybe slightly different characteristics to them, and then merges together those signals to create what we call the system model, the final set of signals. And then now new in Profit 10 is we have a post-processing tab where you can actually manipulate and condition those signals that come out of the system model to smooth it, to slow it down, to put thresholds on it, to do all sorts of different things with it. And then finally, when you're done, you have a results tab, which then you can view your open, high, low, close signals and equity performance and all the system metrics and see whether or not you want to, it's indicating a positive signal is to go long, a negative signal is to go short, and a zero signal is to be out. And then it also will display a trading report if the equity engine selected actually creates a trading report. This one does, as we will see. So what I'm going to do is just walk through the process here, and I'm going to build a model on S&P 500 futures, and I'm going to add in, well, let's say a Swiss franc and a crude oil, and it's now automatically imported the data. I'm going to take this standard as it is. I'm going to trade the close of the same day, so I would go into the aftermarket, and I'm going to trade long and short. Now I'm going to build indicators, and there's a variety of different ways of doing that. The date, open, high, low, close are necessary for the equity calculations, generally speaking. So we can do a variety of things with the other information that were provided, such as the S&P volume and then the Swiss franc and oil futures. And if I select this, and a new feature in Profit 10 is input indicator optimization, which actually was in an older version of Profit, but based on request has been brought forward into Profit 10. And there's four of them. One's called Cook's method, one's called correlation. So Cook's method is, yeah, I named it after myself. Isn't that kind of humble of me? Cook's method is equity-based performance. So it will try to transform these variables based on equity performance, trying to make those indicators actually a profitable indicator in themselves. The presumption is that if you have profitable indicators as inputs, then you're going to have an easier time building models to create a profitable signal. The next one is correlation, which is it tries to match your transforms to the signal that you create, which I haven't created yet. But if you create a target signal for it to try to model, the correlation will say, I want these input indicators to be most correlated with that target signal as they possibly can, or cross their mean up and down, back and forth, in a similar timing as the target signal, and then also movement similarity, which is somewhat similar, a little bit different, where it's trying to move at the same time as the signal is trying to move. So those are four different kinds of input optimization or indicator optimization methods. You can also apply your own by selecting one or more of these and then applying any number of functions, such as I want to compute the rate of change of something. I can have a 10-period rate of change, or I can make that a 2-period rate of change, or I can do a variety of different things. And just double click this and it will apply it. So for example, I can just double click it and it computes a 2-period change. I can select all these guys and I can chart them as a data series, and I can get a time series chart of that. What I normally would do would be to, let's say I'm going to create a 1-period change of the close, double click, as a target. That means I want to predict the change in the S&P's close. But I want to predict tomorrow's change. So I'm going to do a shift of one of that guy and double click him. Now this is the target I'm after, which is the change in the price tomorrow. And if I chart that as a signal, you'll see that that is creates an equity curve that is nearly perfect. It just goes up and up and up and up and up. You wish you could have a system that was that good. But that's our objective and what we want to model. Then if I want to do the input indicator, I can just select this guy and run it. Now Cook's method takes about a couple of minutes with this size of data set. So I'm going to skip ahead to a system where I've already done that. And let me go ahead and create that 1-period change, 1 day in the future. Okay, so this is my target and these are my inputs. So now that I've built these guys, I'm going to go to the model building process and I say I want that target to be something to be predicted. So I can have inputs that are optional. I can have inputs that I require the modeling to have, and I can have inputs that I ignore, that I don't want it to use. And then I can also say, predict this guy. And once I have at least some optional inputs and predicted, then the go button becomes active. And all I have to do is push go. And what it's doing is it's searching through different combinations of models, trying to find the one that has the best and most consistent equity performance. And it's building 100 models, 10 at a time, and it's saving the 100 models and it's delivering back to me the top 10. And here's the list of top 10. This is the system model that is composed of these individual 10 models. And if I click on that guy, I can see what the signal is and what his equity curve is. And if I don't do any post-processing, I come over the results and it's listed there as well. And so we've got about 1,200 points the way I have it set up. Buy and hold 688. So we're notably beating buy and hold, even though we're in a strong upward market during this period. So that's pretty good. We got about 55% winners, and our average winner is about twice the size of our average loser. So that's good. But now let's take a look at the post-processing capability. Now I have a list of functions that I can apply basically to this signal right here, and this signal right here that gives me that equity curve. I can go to the post-processing and I see the same information over here, and it's a little more shrinky-dink window. And I can say, well, what if I smooth that? Because like right now I have 108 trades. Well, maybe I don't want to trade that often. So let's take a look at smoothing that. So I want to look at all SMA periods between 2 to, let's say, 30, and show me what the equity performance is for those guys. So here I see at a period of 12, I have an equity straightness of 9665. If I go look at this guy, whoop, that's higher than what I've got presently, because I haven't applied it yet. I'm just looking at it hypothetically here. I can also drop this down. Let's see, that was at what? 12 periods. I can also drop this down and take a look at any of the other metrics, including total equity. Well, at 12 periods, actually it's not that great. 961. I'd actually not make as much money, but I would have a smoother. At 4 periods, I make more money, and I have 0.94. So let's go with 4 periods. So I put in 4 over here, and I double click, and yep, now we see our equity curve gets straighter. Then I can take a look at the results, which aren't too bad. I'm now trading only 43 trades instead of 108. So I've slowed down my trading quite a lot. And I can see that I'm making 1,300 versus 688 buy and hold. And at 17% of perfect, my average winner is now 55 versus 21. And I got about 67% winners. And then I have the trading report that will show me by each hypothetical trade. And then what I would want to do is to go and say save as, and I've got various ones in here too. So let's say video, and then I can save this. And then each day when I download my data and update it, I can come to this system and open it up, and it will load the data, load the models, process through the models, create the system model, calculate the signals for the system model, apply the post-processing, and then deliver me back to this window where I can say it might be best to be short or bias your trading decisions short. Some people will use this to bias their intraday trading. They'll say, it looks like the day's going to be short, so I'm going to go in the markets, and every time I see that it's high during a band during the day that I think is a good trading opportunity, I'll short that high point, and because the bias tendency is going to be down for the day. So that's one way of using it intraday. Just by using this is kind of like your morning newspaper, what's expected to happen during the day. So anyway, I hope you found this useful, and I look forward to you working with Profit and seeing what you can do with it. I appreciate it very much, and thank you.